What is going on, everybody? It is Saturday afternoon. Very rarely shoot videos on the weekend, but this video was a little special for me because of that card featured right there in the middle. I'm really only going to show one other card besides that, and that's just because I have not been picking up hardly anything at all. Both because not much is popping up, and I'm also really not. I mean, obviously, I'm not getting anything out of the new products in the Rams uniforms, but there just hasn't been anything of clay that's really gotten me excited, other than cards I've been able to trade for with another clay collector. But the opportunity to get that card finally presented itself, and I just couldn't believe it. And that's kind of mainly what this video is going to be about, is how I was able to obtain that thing. But I will show the one other card that I bought recently. This popped up on eBay. I already have a copy of this. I've had 3 or 4 copies of this card before, but I always keep one and then either trade or sell to a fellow Packer collector that's looking for them, just because they're really cool cards, and they just never pop up for sale. There's one on eBay right now that's been listed forever with massive damage to it, and the guy still wants like 40 or 50 bucks for it, which is crazy. But this one popped up for a buy it now at $25, and I jumped on it instantly. But from 2011 Topps, this is the black border team card celebrating the Super Bowl 45 victory for the Packers. But man, I just love those black border cards. And the reason I grabbed this one is because it was numbered 12 out of 55. Rodgers jersey number. And everybody that knows me and watches my videos knows I dig that shit. And I'm always looking for the 52 out of 55 for Clay's number, and I'm always looking for the 45 to match the Super Bowl number. Throughout the video, you might hear some background noise, and that is the 160, 170 pound English Mastiff Thor sleeping in the other room. He's snoring, so you may pick up on that. But anyway, that's the only other card that I'm going to show besides what we've got going on here. And the history of this card here. I've known where it is for close to 5 years. I discovered it, I believe, in 2000. I can't remember when it was in 2015, but it was during 2015 that I found a picture of this card going through Google Images. And I don't remember if I was just looking up Clay Matthews SUPERFRACTORs or Clay Matthews 101s. May have been what I was just searching Google Images for, because I used to randomly do that to try to just see if there were other cards out there that I was looking for, and they weren't on any of the platforms that I was used to searching. And I came across that card, and I found a link to it, and it led me to a photo bucket, and it was hard to go from there because the person who owned that photo bucket had not updated it in quite some time. It had been several years at that point, but I was then able to find somehow I was able to find a thread on blowout card forums about that card. And I found it, and the thread was from 2011. And it was for an eBay listing that the guy had decided to put the entire rainbow up for sale on eBay. And this was, like I said, in 2011. He put it up for sale to take offers, and I immediately clicked on his username so I could go to his profile and realize, and I looked at it, and his last activity was like 2013. So it was something like that. So he hadn't had another thread since then, didn't make any comments, hadn't even logged on to Blowout in 2 years when I finally tracked down him. And I decided, you know what, I got to take a shot. And I sent him a PM. And he got back to me not too terribly long after that and said, you know, I never sold it. It never sold. I still own it. He goes, but it's no longer available for sale. He goes, I got the card shortly after he was drafted, and it took me 2 years to get the whole rainbow built. He said, I am from Wisconsin, and I'm a Packers fan. He said, so it's not going anywhere. I was like, okay. But I made sure to tell him, you know, hey, I'm your guy if this ever comes up for sale. And this was, like I said, this was back in 2015. And after the last message I sent him, he never sent me a reply. So I waited a couple months and dropped him another message. Waited a few months after that, dropped another. And this went on until 2017. And in 2017, I finally got a reply. And it was along those same lines as the one before. He goes, yeah, I still have it. It's still not available. He goes, but I will let you know if it ever is. And we just got to talk about what it is that he collected. Because I was wondering if he had other Clay stuff. Well, he didn't. He just built this rainbow when Clay was a rookie and sat on it and held it for all these years. He was actually a Drew Bledsoe collector and had an absolutely insane collection of that guy. All the hard to find 90s inserts. He had that kind of stuff, but he also collected his game used gear. He had full uniform type stuff like helmets, jerseys, cleats, all that stuff. And in the memorabilia world, game used helmets are really tough to find. Cleats are, I wouldn't say they're plentiful, but they're easier to track down than, way easier than helmets. Jerseys pop up from time to time, and they have big price tags on them, especially if it's a popular player. But anyway, we were just discussing that stuff, and once I realized what it is that he had and what he collected and everything, I knew that money wasn't really something that motivated him and would not motivate him to sell. And the last message that I had sent to him, I offered him a substantial amount of money for this card. And he didn't reply. So I knew it didn't intrigue him whatsoever. And like I said, that was in 2017. And I proceeded over the months and years after that to just drop him a line. And it typically fell around the February time frame, or in October, or in December. And the significance of those months were usually when I had chunks of money. February, tax time, I would always get my tax return. So I always had money then. October for me, the company I worked for previously, they like to pay you in advance for your vacation. They didn't at this point I had 4 weeks paid vacation every year, and it always reset on your hire date, which mine was in the first week of October. It was October 7th. So every October, the paycheck that would come out October 31st, they would pay me for my vacation. And I didn't side note, I hated that business practice. I didn't like it at all. Basically, what it told me is they didn't really want you to take time off. That's why they were paying you in advance, because most people aren't disciplined enough to take that money and just set it aside and be like, okay, there's my vacation pay. I'll set that over there. And then when I take days off throughout the next year, I've got that money sitting over there to help compensate for the time off that I'm not going to get paid for during that time period because I was already paid for it. And even worse, our money was direct deposited in our bank account, but they would put that vacation pay on our regular paycheck. So taxes ate the shit out of it. And it really pissed me off. And I don't know how, I mean, I don't know if it was legal or not. Our union didn't really look into it all that much. So anyway, like I said, side note, let's get back on track. So October, I always had my vacation pay, and then Christmas time, I always had money. So then would be the months I would contact in February, October, and December. And I would just drop them a line saying, hey, man, I've got money ready to go. Here was my offer from the last time we spoke. I'm still willing to pay it. It would never get a response. And that went on for 2017, 2018, 2019. Nothing. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I get an email from Blowout. And this was on Friday the 7th. Yeah, Friday the 7th. And I was thinking it was just going to be one of Blowout's, because I'll get emails all the time. I shouldn't say all the time, but pretty regularly from Blowout. And it'll say it's a private message, and I'll click on it. And it'll be some advertisement for some contest that Blowout's got going on, or new product releases, or some group break. And I thought, well, you never know. It could be the one for my birthday. Maybe they just sent it out early. So I clicked on it and clicked on the link, and it took me to my inbox, and I saw who it was from, and my heart stopped for a little bit, about shit myself. And I clicked on it and opened the message, and it said, hey, Michael, it's been a long time. He goes, I'm downsizing my card collection. He goes, and I'm going to be posting the Clay Matthews 2009 Chrome Rookie Card Rainbow for sale. He goes, I just wanted to give you a heads up. And he goes, and I'll try to send you a text message before I post it. And that was the message. And in my mind, I was, number one, I was like, holy shit, it's finally happening. It's available. I've got to try to make this happen. And then on the other hand, the way that was worded to me sounded like, hey, man, yeah, I'm going to post it on eBay or post it on Blowout for sale. I'll try to let you know when I do it. It drove me crazy because I'm like, I've been contacting you for years about this. Why not just tell me how much you want for it, and I will give you the money? So I immediately messaged him back. And then I didn't hear from him for over 24 hours. In this time frame, I'm panicking. My anxiety is way high just because, I mean, it shouldn't for cardboard, but this card has been on my mind for years. And for me, it's the number one Clay Matthews card in his entire checklist. It's the best card of his that was ever made. It's the most important one to a player PC, I think, for anything of 2015 and prior, back to when SUPERFRACTORs became a thing. That was considered the best card of the rookies. That was the one everybody chased because Chrome was king for a really long time. And that holds true with this for me. So I'm contacting Joey. I'm contacting Dave. And I'm just pinging. And it stressed me out that I didn't hear back from him until Saturday evening. It took over 24 hours for him to get back to me. And he still didn't say, here's what I want. You can, it's yours if you want it. It wasn't worded that way. He messaged me back and said, he goes, sorry it took me so long to get back to you. He goes, my wife and I both have the flu, and she actually had to be, he goes, we had to go to urgent care because her fever wouldn't go away. I'm like, yeah, no big deal. Not a big deal at all. But he told me in that message, he goes, I was going to list it on eBay for $1,000 or best offer. He goes, not saying that's what I want for it. He goes, but what would your offer be? And I was driving up to Overland Park, Kansas. My girlfriend beside me and our two friends in the back. We were going on a double date, going up and doing Topgolf. And when this message came in, I was driving and I couldn't exactly reply to the message driving in a safe way. And because we were doing good on time and I'm selfish, I said, hey, do y'all mind if I pull over real quick and reply to an email? And they didn't care. So I pulled over into a McDonald's parking lot right off the highway and sat and messaged this guy back. And he messaged me at 4:30. My reply went through to him at 4:43. So in 13 minutes, I replied to him. I said, hey, my offer from 3 years ago is still good, and I will add $100 to it. He goes, I said, so this is what I'm willing to pay you for it. Please let me know if this is good and give me your payment information. He didn't even wait 13 minutes to get the message back. He didn't reply to me until Sunday. And Sunday, I don't even remember how it all went. It's something along the lines that, hey, it's yours. I'll talk to you more about it tomorrow. And that was kind of just the short part of the message. And my reply to him is, awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate this. Give me your payment information. Because until money's sent, this really isn't a completed deal. And I just want to hurry up and get him the money as quick as possible. And again, he didn't reply. I heard back from him Monday night. And he said, sorry I didn't get back to you Sunday. He goes, the wife's still sick. And he goes, the cough suppressant they've got me on knocked me out. Again, no worries. But also, again, no payment information in this message. And it was just driving me crazy because I'm just like, I just want to give you money. I just want to give you the money. And I heard from him first thing Tuesday morning when I was at work on my birthday. And he messaged me first thing, says, hey, he goes, sorry I didn't get back to you again last night. He goes, I will send you a PayPal invoice. I've already packed it up. And then he proceeded to send me pictures of how he was packing this thing up. And it was hilarious. Because in the deal, I also got the rest of the rainbow, which for Clay in 2009, they didn't have a ton of parallels. And the only ones that are hard to find are the Super and the red out of 25. The only other numbered card is the bronze or copper out of 649. So they're all really easy to get, and outside of the red and Super. But he sent me a picture of these all wrapped up in bubble wrap. And then he sent me a picture of them taped up inside this, a box of 2006 limited football. He had them, stuffed in there inside the bubble wrap. And then this thing was taped shut a million times. And then he put that inside an Amazon Prime box with a bunch of newspaper and sealed it all up. So, I mean, this guy was taking care of this. And he said, he replied after this picture, he goes, I know it's a little overkill on the packaging. He goes, but I'm used to sending off antiques and glassware, because apparently that's what he's moved on to collecting. He collects antiques, paintings, and coins. That's what he got into and why he was moving off the cards. And so again, that also makes sense why getting money for him wasn't that big a deal, because he deals in really high-end collectibles. So the money I was giving him for this really didn't register as being all that important. And but anyway, I said, hey, if I pay for it, do you mind sending it express overnight? And he said, no problem. He goes, I'll go to the post office and I'll send you the tracking information and everything. And he goes, and I'll get you that PayPal invoice. And then, boom, sends me the PayPal invoice. I pay instantly. And then a couple hours later, he sends me the picture of the receipt with the tracking number and the slip for express. And he goes, they wouldn't let me send it overnight, he said, but it's guaranteed to be there Thursday at 3. Cool. No big deal. I'm super excited. And then I get the text message from the Postal Service through the USPS app, through the informed delivery. They let me know anytime any packages come in my direction, and said, hey, it'll be here Thursday at 3. I'm like, hell yes. So Wednesday I get to work and I check the tracking just to check to see where it's at. First thing, it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. Boom, it's already in St. Louis. Awesome. That means it's going the right direction. Well, just like an hour or two later, it updates. It's in Columbia. And I'm like, fuck, man. I wish I could just go get it, because Columbia is only an hour drive for me from my house. I'm like, man, I wish I could just go pick it up and not have to wait until Thursday to get it. And then a couple hours later, I get another text message that says, shipping has been updated and date of delivery is now Wednesday, February 12th. So I called my girlfriend and said, hey, I'm going to need you to get out of bed, because you're going to have to sign for a package for me. And she gets up, and I said, it's marked out for delivery already. And this was at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It was marked for delivery, or out for delivery. She opens up the front door at 1:04, and the mail truck pulls up. So apparently they scanned it in the mail truck and then drove straight to the house, because our post office is less than a mile down the road. And so in a matter of barely 24 hours, the guy ships the package from Wisconsin and it arrives at my doorstep here in Missouri. It's the quickest I've seen anything ever done with the Postal Service. I was thoroughly excited. So yeah, this was a long journey from 2015, roughly, whenever I found a random picture on Blowout, until I got it in 2020 from the gentleman who's had it in his collection for over 10 years. Because he bought it from the guy who pulled it in 2009 or early 2010. Whenever Chrome came out for the 2009 rookie class, he got it then. And I sent him a picture of it. And he goes, when I got it, and he goes, that's the first time it has been out of the penny sleeve and top loader since it was pulled. He goes, how you got it is how I got it over 10 years ago from the original owner of it. And he said, and in all the years I owned it, it only came out of my gun safe 2 or 3 times. He said, so that, I mean, the card has just not been anywhere. It hadn't been seen. It hadn't been seen since 2011. So a lot of people that are seeing it for the first time, I mean, they weren't even collecting when that card was made and pulled. And I'm just so excited to own this thing. It is so damn beautiful. And if it wasn't for the centering on this thing, it's a little off left to right and top to bottom. If it wasn't for the centering, this is a perfect, easy gem. There's the 101. There is literally nothing wrong with this surface, which is crazy for a chrome card this old. I mean, you wouldn't even have to like wipe off a fingerprint or anything. This card is just crazy clean. And yeah, I kept this card knowing where this card was a secret for all these years. I mean, only a couple people even know I knew where it was. I told Joey and Luke and Dave, and I believe I told Steve, Broncos 79, Steve Crett. I told Steve on the phone as well. And I may have told Chris or somebody that I knew where the card was, but I didn't let anybody know how I knew about it. I didn't show people the Google image I found because I didn't want it to be whispered or word to get out that this card was out there. And I just didn't want anybody else looking for it was my thing. Because I just wanted it so bad, and especially didn't want anybody to get it after I had been trying to get it for 5 years. It would have made me sick. It really would have. It would have been really disappointing. But not the case. I waited. I'm not going to say I was patient, because I definitely wasn't patient. I was impatient with the lack of communication over the years, because I just wanted that message saying it's available. Here's how much it is. Send me the money. I kept waiting for that. And even once I got the message that it was available, it still took 4 days for me to get the payment information so I could pay for it. But I want to thank Joey Bearcat 8. He was an integral part of me being able to get this card. I really appreciate it, man. And yeah, it was a hell of a journey, and now I have it, and I am super, super content with my collection, because even if I miss out on some great cards going forward, I know that there's no card out there that's better than that one as far as Clay Matthews goes. So I can just relax and enjoy pickups if I get them, and not care very much if I don't. It was an odd feeling of relief to finally get that thing, and took a lot of stress off the collecting part of my mind. So yeah, that's me rambling on for the last nearly 30 minutes about a single card that most people wouldn't look twice at, and definitely don't care about a 30-minute story about it. But these are the things. This is why I collect, and this is why I like to watch people's videos, because I want to hear the stories behind the cards that they get, why they get them, how they were able to get them, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's that. Now, as for everything else you see there's been a lot of goofy drama in the YouTube collecting world, and it's just made me laugh, and also made me angry, and I wouldn't say angry. It just irritates me that there's people out there that have no clue about how long people have been making cards on YouTube, or making videos on YouTube about card collecting, and the friendships that were forged and made through this. they just don't get it. They think this guy who just started making videos not too terribly long ago, but there's people in these cards right here that were making videos before this guy even made an account. And I think it's hilarious that so many people are putting so much into and so much attention towards this YouTube Hall of Fame. Really? So you can get this cheap looking patch card that and given to people that have been making videos for a year. That was one of the requirements, is that you had to be making videos for at least a year. 1 year for a Hall of Fame. Seems pretty damn stupid to me. But I don't need I don't need a cheap little patch. And my friends don't need a cheap little patch that says YouTube Hall of Fame on it, when you can have actual patch cards of your friends and people that are legitimate YouTube Hall of Famers that have been around. These cards have been around longer than these people have been making videos. It's just hilarious to me. And I would much rather have these and the people on them be a fan than any of that goofy nonsense. But at least the ringleader of that was recently exposed a little bit, because he came out as a hypocrite and really insulted a lot of people by telling them that what they're collecting and what they're showing off is stupid, and that isn't something that you should collect. And modern cards are junk and trash, and lighting them on fire. But fails to remember the fact that that's what all he collected before he decided to be Mr. Vintage. And I remember a very large collection of a man who many consider a pretty big trash human being in Josh Hamilton. But that's easily forgotten. And the reason it's easily forgotten is your fans and followers weren't even around when you were collecting him. You know why? Because they just got into it because they're children. But hey, what do I know? I don't know anything. And most people don't know me on here, and that's perfectly fine. That isn't why I make my videos. I make my videos for just a handful of people, and I just like to talk about cards and talk about my collection. And I collect an aging